Nunchuk Basics 11 through 20. 차례. 준비. Alright, starting with number 11, it's going to be a backwards version of number 3. If you remember number 3, we switched nunchucks, throwing over our arm, catching on the bottom. Now what we're going to do is take it in one hand and we're going to throw it under our arm and we're going to catch it on top. So what I'm going to do with my hand with the nunchuck, I'm going to throw it across, but I do not want to bring my hands in a sideways motion. I want to bring it across first and then straight down. That way the nunchuck makes a straight circle to where I can catch it and it doesn't come at an angle, hit me, or just miss. So what I want to do is I'm going to throw straight down and come up into my hand. And a trick to do this, to help catch it every time, is with the nunchuck, the hand that's holding the nunchuck, you can hit the same spot under your elbow, and that way that'll force the nunchuck to come up to the same spot each time where you can catch it. In other words, if I'm throwing it in the air and just trying to catch it mid-air with this hand never touching anything, then it's going to come to a different spot each time, and that's when I have to move my hand around. So what I'm going to practice doing is hitting the bottom of my elbow with the nunchuck with this fist. So I'm going to hit down, and I'm going to come up into my hand. Okay, the same thing on the other side. I'm going to come straight across and then down, catching it in my hand. Cross, catch, here. Okay. Eventually you should be able to do this without looking at the nunchuck. Using this trick, it should be pretty easy, but it takes time to practice. Up and down. Okay, another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to go outside of your elbow and catch here, because that's not the proper technique that we want to be doing. We want to come from under the arm. Okay, create that distance and catch from here to here. Okay, number 12 is similar to number 11, but we're going to start with, if you remember number 8, inside and outside circles. We're going to do that. Instead of catching it under my same side arm here, like number 8, I'm going to catch it under the opposite arm using number 11. So I'm going to come inside, outside, and then down and under. Same way that we just did number 11. Inside, outside, and under. Okay? You just want to keep in mind, just like with 11, you don't want to come at an angle when you're doing this. You want to come inside, outside, across, and then down. You want that last circle to be straight up and down. That way it comes straight into your arm. So inside, outside, catch. Inside, outside, catch. All right, number 13. Number 13, we're going to hold it in this position, and we're never going to let go of the nunchuck the entire time that we're doing this number. So what we're doing is we're striking to the side of the jaw or the temple, anywhere to the face area with the nunchuck. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take our elbow that's sticking out right here, and I'm going to pull it inside of my arm so that it can come down through this hole and back. Okay, and as I'm doing this, my nunchuck is going to start moving in a circle, as you see. And what I want to do is continue that circle with this hand that was on top, and I'm going to use my wrist, and I'm going to snap the nunchuck forward and strike with the back end of the nunchuck to the jaw, here. And then what I'm going to do from here is switch to the other side, and the way I do that is I take the hand that I wasn't using. In this case, my left hand is going to come up. So I'm going to twist my fist and come up, upwards. And that's going to cause my elbow to move towards my arm. What I'll do is come over my arm, and then I can bring it back to my original position. Okay, so same thing on this side. I'm going to take my elbow out, past my arm, and that's going to start this circle. And what I want to do is take my nunchuck and strike with the wrist here. Then I'm going to take my other arm and take my fist and push up, straight up, and that's going to start my circle coming back. Okay, you want to start this slowly so you can see the mechanics of how that circle moves. Here and up. Okay, it does get confusing. Sometimes people try to go over this way or turn their arm in different ways, but you have to come like an uppercut. With this fist straight up, and then that'll lead you into what you want to do. Okay, so when you're doing this at full speed, you don't just want to move the circle like that. It's a strike, so you want to pause your strike in the middle of the movement with the back hand, striking, and then holding that, and then up. And again, striking. You want to hear the snap when you're doing this number. Here. Pop. All right, number 14. Number 14 is going to start with the hand that's on the bottom. Okay? If you remember number 5, we came inside, outside, and over. It's going to be playing off of that number. So we're going to start by doing number 5. We're going to start inside, okay? And when I go to the outside circle, I'm going to do what's called rolling the nunchuck over the back of my fist, okay? So this is a new technique. It's pretty difficult to get, so it will take some time to learn. But this is the simplest way that we do it, so we start with number 14. I'm going to start with an inside circle, just like we're used to doing. Now, on the outside circle, I'm going to roll this nunchuck this way, and it's going to come over my fist. The chain is going to roll around the back of my fist, and I'm going to let go of the one that I'm holding, and then the other one's going to come into my hand. I'm going to be holding it upside down. So what that looks like is I'm going to roll it inside, outside, and roll, okay? And now I'm holding it the opposite nunchuck upside down. Okay, so that's the first part. There's 3 parts to this number, so we'll start with this part again. So what I'm doing is I'm coming up, and then on the outside circle, here, I'm just keeping the nunchuck in line with my wrist. Okay, I don't want to move it over here. Okay, if I turn my wrist too much, then my nunchuck's going to go on the outside and I can't roll. I have to keep my nunchuck upright and let it come up into my hand, here, and catch. So I would practice this, just this movement, for a while until you can get it pretty smoothly. Coming up and around the back of the fist to here. Okay? Now the second part of number 14, I'm going to take the nunchuck and I'm going to do another inside circle. Okay? Just by itself here, and that's going to lead me into the next roll. So I'm going to use that inside circle and I'm going to roll it over my wrist, over my fist again. So what that looked like was I'm coming up inside, and then I'm going to roll this chain over the back of my fist again, and then it's going to come into my hand the same way from the original position. Okay, so this one's a little more difficult than the first roll was because tendencies that people have is they'll try to roll their wrist over and to kind of make the nunchuck go with them, but that actually makes it hard to catch because you can drop it or it'll roll off your wrist, and that's not what you want. You want to keep your fist upright. Okay, so I'm not twisting any at all. Okay, so I'm keeping my fist up, and I'm going to let the nunchuck come into my hand. Okay, I have to let it go at the right time, because what I want to do is I want the nunchuck to come between my thumb and my finger, my index finger. Okay, I do not want the nunchuck to go on my wrist. Okay, here I can't grab it from here, and I have to do it like that, and that's sloppy. Okay, so what I want to do is when I'm coming up at the right time, I'm just going to open my hand. Notice how I'm not turning my wrist at all. I'm just opening my hand, and I'm going to let the other one come into my hand while I'm letting go of the original one. Okay? So you have to practice this multiple times before you get that timing right. Here. Okay? Rolling it into my hand. You can practice this, and you can pause. If you keep your wrist and fist upright, then if you do it correctly, you should be able to do it with a pause. Okay? And then you can grab it. But you have to open your hand before the nunchuck gets there. That way your thumb can come around, and you can catch it. Okay? So once we do that second part, we have it back to the original position, and we're just going to finish with basic number 5. So we're just going to finish with inside, outside, and over. So the 3 parts, we'll start with this hand, with my left hand. So I'm going to bring it inside, and I'm going to roll it over the back of my fist again. So inside here and back, okay, on the outside. So my inside circle, and on the outside circle, I'm rolling it over the back of my fist, catching it upside down. Okay, so the same thing here. I don't want to twist my wrist too much, because then the nunchuck's going to go on the outside of my arm. I don't want that. So I'm coming inside and straight up to here. Okay, once I have it here, I'm going to keep the motion going forward, inside, and roll here. Okay, and then I'm catching back to where I had it originally. So again on that one, up and open. Okay, my hand is open, and I'm holding the nunchuck how I want it, back to the beginning. Okay, and then I'm going to finish with the standard number 5, inside, outside, over. Okay, so those 3 parts, I would practice those individually until you get them pretty well, using pauses between. Once you have them really good, then you want to try to put the number together. If you remember when we learned number 5, we did the same sort of idea, inside, outside, and over, but then you put those together without stopping. So I go 1, 2, 3. So the same thing here. I'm not trying to do it for speed. I'm just trying to do it without stopping. So I'm going to try to do my 2 rolls, 1 here, 2 here, and then I'm going to finish here. Okay? So again, 1, 2, 3. Same thing on the side. 1, 2, 3. Again. All right. Number 15 is Similar to number 14, but instead of coming from the bottom hand, we're going to be coming from the top hand, okay? So I'm going to be using rolls over the back of my fist again, but I'm going to go in the opposite direction. This is based off of number 8, if you remember, inside, outside, catching here, okay? Number 14 was based off of number 5, up, up. Number 15 is based down on 8, okay? So we're going to start with that motion from 8. We're going to go inside, and on that circle on this side, we're going to roll the nunchuck over the back of our fist. Okay, it's the same idea as we just did for 14, but it's coming from the opposite direction. But you should be able to get the hang of it if you could get 14. So I'm going to come across my body, and I'm going to roll it on the back of my fist, again catching it upside down. Okay, the same idea applies here. When I'm rolling here, I'm going to let the nunchuck come over my hand, and I'm going to open it at the right time to let this one go free, and that'll allow it to curl around, and I'll be able to catch it here. Okay, there's no real way to practice this slowly, we just do it in parts. But you try to get this roll catching here, okay? Once I catch it here, notice the momentum of the nunchuck is still going in this direction. So I'm going to keep that going by doing another circle here, this way. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to bring it back across my body on this side. So I'm going to push forward and back. Okay, forward and back and roll back to where I started. Okay, so here, again, I'm pushing that nunchuck forward using the momentum of the first circle. So forward and back. Okay, when it's coming on the way back, I have to not twist my wrist the same way that we did for the second circle in 14. Okay, I have to keep this upright, and I have to open my hand to let my thumb come around the outside of the nunchuck. That way, when I close my hand, it's on the nunchuck and not here. Okay. So again, my first circle, inside catching, then I'm going to push here and back, catching here. Okay, and the third part of this number, the third part of 14 was up, up, and over like a number 5. This one's going to be like a number 12. Okay, starting like number 8, inside, outside. And we're going to catch on the other side. So I'm just going to do basic number 12, inside, outside, and catch. Okay, now with the other hand. Okay, I have it in my left hand. I'm going to come across my body, inside, and then I'm going to catch. So here, 1, 2. Okay, from here, again, when you're doing this full speed, you'll notice how the momentum is going to keep your nunchuck going that way. So I'm going to let it keep doing that. But right now we're just practicing in parts. I'm going to push that nunchuck forward and come back around and catch here. Okay, once I have it here, I'm going to finish with my number 12, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so again, this hand, once we have those 3, let me show you the 3 parts again. So inside, catching, that's part 1. Then around, catching here, part 2. And then 1, 2, 3. Again on this hand, inside catching, and then outside catching here, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we have those 3 parts together. We want to put them together without stopping, the same way we just did for 14. So I'm going to try slowly still. We don't want to do this fast. We want to inside roll, outside roll, 1, 2, 3. Same thing here, inside roll, outside roll, 1, 2, 3. All right, number 16. So number 16, we're going to start facing our body to the side, whatever side we have the nunchuck on. So in this case, my right side, I'm going to face to the right. Okay, I'm going to start with the beginning of a number 8 towards the side of my body. Okay, so that's the inside, outside catch. Okay, holding this opposite nunchuck. Okay, what I'm going to do from here, if you remember when we did number 8, we did around, down, and up with that strike, coming here, striking, around, down, and up. We're going to do that same motion, but when we come to tap the arm, I'm actually going to bring the nunchuck down behind my back. So I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to strike around and come down behind my back. Okay? So we'll start with that. Let me show you from this side. So when I'm doing that, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to strike around, and when I come to tap, I'm going to bring my nunchuck down. And then I'm going to face it up. When I'm coming down, 1, 2, 3, around and up. Okay, I want my nunchuck facing straight up in the air. Okay, what I do from here is I'm going to switch hands, okay? So right now I have it in my right hand. When I get to here, I'm going to go behind my back, facing it in the middle of my back, straight up. I take my other hand, and I'm going to grab that same nunchuck here. I'm going to transfer my hands here, and I'm just going to finish by putting it on this arm, okay? So again, what I'm doing, once I catch it, I'm striking, bringing it around in a circle, and then down behind my back. I don't just want to come straight down, okay? Just like number 8, I want to come out and around first. Out and around, then down, switching hands here, up. Okay, the same thing on this hand. Left hand, inside, outside catch, I'm striking out, around, and down behind my back. To here, and then I'm catching it here, okay? Now, the finishing touch on this number, when we do it full speed, we actually want to create a circle behind my back with the nunchuck, and I'll show you what I mean by that. When you're doing it slow, it's not really possible to do this, so when you're learning, don't worry about it, but when you have it really good, then you try to add this at the end of your number. So what I'm doing when I strike and come around, I'm going to do it full speed without stopping, and I'm going to let the nunchuck move in a circle. If you saw that, the nunchuck doesn't stop moving, so it creates a circle behind my back. Okay, so if I have to stop, it doesn't really do the circle. Okay, so this is only once you have it really well, fluidly without stopping. Okay, so inside, outside catch, around, behind the back with a circle. Inside, outside catch, around, behind the back, circle. Okay, number 17. So number 17, I'm going to start with one hand, doesn't matter. It's my right hand. I'm going to strike across my body like number 4, and I'm going to hit my belt. So I'm going to come across here. Okay, just the beginning of number 4. Then I'm going to take my free hand and grab the same nunchuck. Okay, I don't want to grab the opposite one at this point. I'm grabbing the same nunchuck and I'm going to have it upside down. So it will be upside down. That's what you want. So when I come across, I'm going to catch it on my hip with the same nunchuck. Okay, so I can let go with my original hand, and then I'm going to hold it in this hand. I'm going to make 2 strikes. I'm going to come across, hitting my belt here, and across, hitting my belt here. So 1, 2. Okay, back to where I just was. And then I'm going to take the nunchuck and I'm going to throw it over my arm here. Okay, this is important. When I do this, I don't want to take the nunchuck and move my wrist. Okay, I want to keep the inside of my fist, the hammer fist, I want to keep that facing me. Okay, so when I pick it up, I don't want to turn my wrist this way. Okay, because then we won't be able to complete the number properly. So this part is important to practice with. So once I make my 2 strikes across, when I come up, I'm going to keep my inside of my fist in this chain of my nunchuck facing me. So I'm going to come up and over my arm like this. Okay, and then I'm going to grab it here. Okay, it's important that my wrist is this way and not this way. Okay, because then my number is not, the end of my number won't be possible. So 1, 2, up, and here. Now once I have it here, if you remember number 13, when we took our elbow out to strike, I'm doing that same motion, but now my nunchuck's upside down. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to take my elbow out, and you see this? You see how the chain is wrapped around my wrist? That means that I did my this part properly. If I would have done this, then the chain would not be around my wrist. Okay, so that's another indicator that you know you're doing it right. If my arm is wrapped with the chain, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So when I take this out, what I have to do is I'm going to let go with my right hand, with this hand on the bottom. Okay? What I'm going to do with my left hand is I'm going to make a circle here, kind of like what we did on 13, but what I'm not actually striking with the nunchuck that I'm holding like we were on 13. So what I'm doing is I'm going to let go of this, and I'm going to make a circle with my arm, and I'm going to strike with this nunchuck across the face. So I'm going to let go and strike. Okay? You see what I just did? So when I have it here, I'm going to move this arm in a circle because I can't strike like this. I don't want to do that because I'm constricted by this chain. So I have to release my arm from the chain by moving in that circle, down and around. Okay, so here, cross. Okay, hitting my hip again. And to finish this off, I'm going to grab the opposite nunchuck this time. At the beginning, we grabbed the same nunchuck. This time, I'm grabbing the opposite one. And I'm going to go striking over my head like a number 4 motion. 1, across, back, and over. Okay, so it's a very long number. We're going to do it again on the other side. I'm going to take this hand, my left hand, I'm going to strike across and hit my hip. Remember, at the beginning, we grabbed the same nunchuck. Here, and I'm going to strike 2 times across. 1, 2. Hitting my hip again, the same spot I just was. I'm going to throw my fist, I'm throwing the nunchuck over with my fist facing me. Okay, the inside of my fist facing me. Okay, so again, not like this. I don't want this. I want this to face me, so here. Okay, so that might take some practice when you're doing that. Now from here, I'm going to take the top hand, just like 13, and I'm going to take the elbow past my arm. Okay, then I'm going to start moving it in a circle. Okay, because see the chain again is wrapped around my wrist. That's what I want. Okay, what I'm going to do with my left hand now is I'm going to let it go at the right time as I'm doing this circle. Okay, to let the nunchuck strike across. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the opposite nunchuck at the end, striking over the head, number 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so one more time. Starting on my right hand, coming across, striking, then 2 strikes, 1, 2, then up, 3. Okay, so this is probably the hardest part of the number, is timing this properly to where you're not trying to throw the circle with the chain wrapped around your arm, trying to get the arm around and letting go at the proper time. So here, I'm going to strike across, then switch hands, opposite nunchuck, 1, 2, 3. Again on this hand, 1, 1, 2, 3, across. Okay, so this will take a lot of practice. You want to have that circle at the end with the strike very smooth when you're finished with this. So 1, 1, 2, 3, strike. 1, 2, 3. Switching, across, grab. 1, 2, 3, strike, cross. 1, 2, 3. All right, number 18. Number 18 is, if you remember number 7, it starts with the same motion that we did. Okay, so I'm going to put my hand on the same side where my nunchuck is, on my ear. I'm going to go across in front around my neck, okay, and catching here. Okay, now from here, this is where it gets different. I'm not going to go out and make a circle and catch under my arm. What I'm going to do is take that hand that just caught it, and I'm going to go behind my back, just in a straight line to here, and catch. Okay, just catching it straight behind my back. Okay, it might take some time because you can't see that circle that you're making at all. Okay, so it's completely, you're blinded. You're not supposed to look, and even if you do it, it's not really going to help you. So the key to this is going straight in a straight line. Okay, so don't want to come down at an angle. Okay, so when I bring it down, straight down behind and catching behind my back. Okay, so from here, the hand that catches it is going to take it out, and I'm going to strike over my head, and I'm going to finish with a full number 10. Okay, so if you remember that one, across, and then I'm going to bring it around and catch under my arm, then finish with 10. Okay, so let's do the same thing on the other hand. I'm going to go like a number 7, behind my neck, catch, then behind my back. Okay, so here, then I'm going to go full number 10. Okay, so let me show you again from the back side. So I'm going to go around my neck, here, then behind my back. Here, then number 10. Same thing on the other hand, behind my neck, then behind my back, then a full number 10. One more time. All right, number 19. Number 19, we're going to use that technique rolling over the fist that we did in 14 and 15. Okay, this was a little simpler. I'm going to strike across my body and hit at the belt like number 4 here. Now the difference with this number is we're not going up and down. Okay, so it will be more complicated because you're not used to doing this. You're used to rolling it up and over or down and under your arm. So what we're going to do is we're going to come across the body. Okay, and I'm just going to roll it over the back of my wrist. So it's going to come here. So I have to bring my arm out and then expose my fist so that it can roll over here, and I'm going to catch it here. It's going to be upside down. Okay, so what I'm doing, across, and I'm just rolling here. Okay, and as I'm doing that, I'm coming across my body to hit the opposite hip. Okay, so I start with a normal strike across here. And then the second one, I'm striking across while rolling the nunchuck here. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the way back so I can return the nunchuck back to the upright position. So here, I'm going to come back across the same way. So what I just did is I brought the nunchuck around the back of my fist, and the same techniques that we used in 14, 15, opening the hand, letting the thumb come around the nunchuck, and we're going to finish by going back over. So again, I'm coming across normal, and I'm rolling over my wrist, and then I'm rolling again over my wrist. And then I'm finishing by just bringing it back to my hip and over. 1, 2. Okay, so the opposite hand, I'm going across, I'm going to roll it over the back of my fist, coming back here. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing, rolling across my wrist, back here. And then finish just 1, 2. Okay, so again, across, rolling, rolling, back over, here. Okay, then I'm going to get across, rolling, rolling, here. One more time. Rolling again. Back here, All right, and number 20. All right, number 20 is built from number 10, okay? Similar to how 14 is built from number 5 and 15 is built from number 8. 20 is going to be built from number 10. We're just going to add those rolls with the wrist, okay? So using also the 19 roll that we just learned, okay? So what we're doing is we're going to start like a basic number 10, coming across, striking around the back of the head to the hip. So here and here. Okay, now this is where it gets tricky. I'm going to do 2 rolls back to back. So I'm going to start with a 19 roll coming around here, like I'm going to my hip, okay, here. But I'm not actually going to go to the hip. So I'm going to do that roll, and I'm just going to have it here. Okay, I'm going to keep it out. And then if you see the nunchuck's momentum is keeping it going in this circular motion. I want it to do that one time, and then I'm going to use my wrist and bring it around like a number 15. So if you remember for 15, when I came across here, I used this circle forward as momentum to come back to here. Okay, so what I actually am doing, it's the same idea, but I'm just coming from the side. So when I roll here, I'm using this circle here to roll back to here. Okay, so one more time here. Rolling to here. 2 rolls in a row. Okay, when I have it here, I'm going to do 2 circles, inside, outside, and I'm going to catch, just like number 8. So I'm going to go inside, outside, catch. Okay, and then I'm just going to finish with a basic number 4, like number 10 does. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so same thing on the other side. Striking above to the hip. 1, 2, and I'm going to roll it back across my fist here, but I'm going to keep it out. I don't want to bring it to my hip yet. Keeping it out here, letting my circle continue in this motion so that it can help me to turn my nunchuck in the backwards manner. So when you're practicing this, it might be a good idea, since you don't want to do the 2 circles back to back, to get this circle down. And when you're ready to do the next part, start with this motion, okay? This will help you move, and when you feel ready, you can push and come around to here. Okay, and I want to keep the nunchuck up. And I'm going to go inside, outside, catch under the same arm. Okay, a lot of mistakes people do on this one, and also number 15, is when they do this second circle here, they bring it down. And then they want to do a number 5 coming up. Okay, so you want to make sure on that second circle, when you roll it around, that keep the nunchuck up. Okay, that way I can go into my downward circles, catching here. Okay, and then finish with a number 4. 1, 2, 3. So again, 1, roll, roll, inside, outside, catch. 1, 2, 3. Paro. And shield. All right, that's basic nunchucks 11 through 20.